Back in the early 70s, motocross racing was still in its infancy. The sport saw amazing growth throughout the United States. It was back then that a dedicated group of riders formed what has become the dominant motocross organization in the region, the Sports Riders Association of Colorado. But that was then, and this is now. FMF is proud to present SRAC 1994, The Year in Review. This home video is brought to you by FMF, race-winning performance pipes, silencers, reed valves, engine building and suspension. FMF, the winning edge. Acerbis, state-of-the-art plastic fenders, tanks, number plates, chest protectors, and accessories. CD Boots, New World technology and Old World Italian craftsmanship. Off-road, trail and street. Smith Goggles, complete optical systems for the serious racer. Kevco Stubbs Racing, a totally new concept in kidney support belts. The 1994 SRAC season saw more than 1,400 racers compete in 28 classes for both motocross and supercross points. We saw every extreme in weather conditions from snow to 100-degree heat. We raced in the snow, slogged through the mud, and choked on dust this past season. The racing goes way beyond the track. Let's hear what members like about SRAC.
Just the fun of it. It's a blast. It's the best thing you can do for 20 bucks.
There's a lot of people you can make friends with. It's definitely a lot better than sitting at home. It's a lot of fun, and it's not what a lot of people say it is. It is dangerous, but it's not as bad as some people say. And it's not like Harley riders that people misinterpret us for what we really are.
We've been racing with SRAC for about 3 years now, and the thing that we really like about it is everybody's very friendly. It's like one big family. All the kids seem to get along really well. It's good, clean competition. It's occupied our time, our free time, the kids' time on the weekends, and throughout the week keeps our son focused on grades and so on. It's been really good to us.
What I like about SRAC is we have racing every week from March on up into October. We have a lot of riders. There are many other races we go to out of state that we have fun at, but it's more fun going to an event where you have 400 to 600 sign-ups at the race, where the kids get to start off from full gates. It's much more exciting. And SRAC turnouts have been really good. The other thing I like about SRAC is the fact that the events are well organized. We don't have first come, first serve problems at gates. Everyone draws numbers. It's just a very organized event, so everyone can have fun. So I don't like some other states, California in particular, like Golden State Nationals, where it's first come, first serve for both motos at the gate. And to me, that's not a national quality event. They have fast riders, really fast, but the events, in my opinion, are not nearly as well organized as SRAC. And this makes it more fun for everyone.
I like racing with the SRAC because it's just a lot of fun. There's just local here, and I don't have any pressure on me to win. I just like to go out and I can talk with some of my friends here. Just go out and I don't have no pressure on me, so I don't have to worry about doing good. I just have fun here.
I like racing with the SRAC because the competition is good. I like their mark-out system. Their points are nice, and basically everything.
Well, we've met a lot of really nice people, and the kids learn an awful lot by racing. Ups and downs, mostly, but really, it's really the people that are around here. We met some really good ones. Racing is everything in our family right now. We do it every weekend, and so it's like we have a family here, and we all caravan together and all help each other. And if bikes break down, there's always somebody's bike that's available to use, and it's just real team spirit.
SRAC puts the most back into its racers of any club I've been with so far, and I've gone from California out here. They put on the best banquet. They treat their riders with a lot of respect towards the end of the race season.
I like the people, I like the places that they take us to, and I like the attitude of the riders. Very good. It's a family out here. We all take care of each other.
You know, the promoters do an excellent job. The SRAC up here I know is really incredible. You know, they got racing really large up here. They got a contingency deal from all the manufacturers and stuff. It's what racing's all about up here in Colorado. You know, I'm from Nebraska. Racing is big, but they don't have quite an organization quite as SRAC. And, you know, I'm really impressed, and that's why I come up every year to help support that if I can.
It's pretty neat. We don't have races like this at home. I wouldn't mind having races like this. It's good for the people and good for the riders.
The 50cc novice class saw 17 riders compete for motocross and supercross points during the 1994 season. Normally this class is comprised of youngsters who are learning how to ride, much less race. But the determination displayed by all the 50cc racers produced nothing less than great action throughout the year. Right from the beginning of the season, number 66, Trevor Monks, and number 57, Matthew Barris, were serious about dominating the competition in both supercross and motocross points. But snapping at their heels were number 98, Chris Phelan, number 67, Adam Lures, number 50, Chris Felicia, and number 11, Jimmy DeAndrea. All of these riders battled fiercely throughout the year. By mid-season, Monks found himself slipping in supercross points. Number 98, Phelan, now controlled the field. Monks and Phelan separated themselves from the rest of the field as the season progressed. Trevor concentrated on his main competition, Chris Phelan, finally taking back the points lead and winning the championship. We talked to Trevor about how it feels to be the 1994 50cc Novice Supercross champ.
It felt pretty good to be the 94 champ, and it was really hard because I had a lot of competition from Chris Phelan and Adam Lures. I'd like to thank my mom and dad for taking me to the races, buying me my bikes and cycle engineering and Ace Racing. I'd like to have a special thanks for SRAC. They put on a nice race, and hope I can come back next year.
The story in the motocross division was a little different. Number 67, Adam Lures, moved from third in points to lead the competition for several races. Not to be outdone, Trevor Monks met the challenge and took over the points lead. By the later part of the season, it looked as if Trevor would compile a clean sweep of both classes. But Adam Lures dug deep and rode hard to catch and pass Trevor, thus clinching the 50cc Novice Motocross title. Congratulations to Adam Lures, Trevor Monks, and all the 50cc Novice riders of 1994. Many of the top riders in the 50cc novice class jumped on their 60cc machines to battle in the Pee Wee novice division. With a roster of more than 45 riders, this was a very competitive class in which to compete. Early in the season, number 50, Gabriel Benavidez, led the motocross points, while 52, Randy Hofschneider, was at the top of the supercross points. Riders Jeremy Wilson, Matthew Barris, Aram Saffel, and Chris Phelan were all within striking distance of the points lead. What unfolded was a terrific battle for the championship. In motocross points, number 50 Benavidez and number 56 Robbie Van Wieden held the early lead, only to both mark out and transfer to the Pee Wee Amateur Division. Number 44 Jeremy Wilson and number 57 Matthew Barris inherited the top two positions. As the season progressed, the point spread between them narrowed to a virtual tie. All the while, number 98 Chris Phelan was able to keep the competition in sight, but Barris and Wilson slowly pulled away, separating themselves from the rest of the field. Barris then focused on beating Wilson, capping the season with a 26-point lead and the title. In the Supercross points battle, number 87 Nathan Sharp held the early lead. Number 88 Brady Sharp, number 54 Matthew Guerrero, and number 75 Michael Mack were all within striking distance. But without warning, number 98 Chris Phelan moved to within 1 point of Sharp. Phelan eventually squeaked past Nathan to clinch the title by just 2 points. We talked to Chris about it this past season and his plans for 1995.
Next year I plan to try to get first on the 60s in both outdoor and indoor, and try to mark out into the Bs on my 60.
A field of nearly 15 riders competed for honors in the Pee Wee Amateur class. This division is comprised of hot, up-and-coming riders who will soon be making the transition to the faster 80cc class. Riders like number 6, Brandon Hightower, number 8, Cody Jensen, number 4, Adam Burris, number 14, Mark Warmoth, and the motocross and supercross champion, number 2, Andrew Short. Andrew's intentions for the season were evident, with him virtually dominating the competition right from the very first race. Though Hightower and Jensen provided great competition, Andrew was totally in command of the field. We talked to Andrew about how it feels to be the Pee Wee Amateur champ and his transition to the 80 expert class.
Pretty good. We've been working a lot on my 80 and we've been working on my corners. I've been having a lot of fun. There's a lot of great competition right now, so it's a lot of fun. Brandon and Adam, they were both right there normally, and he didn't know where they were. He always had a charge because he didn't know what could happen. It was pretty easy. I've been riding them an 80 for 3 years now, and it's not that hard. There's a lot of competition in that class with Scott and Travis and a lot of the other kids. It's been real hard for me. I really have to work hard on that. I plan to ride the Super Mini class and the 80 class, and we're going to try going to the MMA Nationals, riding 12, 13, and Super Mini there. We're going to try win the #1 80 plate here, and try doing good in Super Mini next year, so try that. My sponsors this year have been PJ1, Thor, and Faye Myers, and Team Green. They really helped me out this year. I'd really like to thank them and hope next year they'll support me again. I like to thank my mom, dad, and my sister. My dad, he helped me a lot, and he makes sure my bikes are going. And my mom, I'd like to thank her for coming to the races. She really supports me, and she always helps me cleaning. She does all that for me that I should be doing. And my sister, she's just fun to have at the races because she just does a lot of stuff for me, and she has a lot of fun, and it's fun for both of us.
With Andrew making the jump to the 80cc expert class, 1995 proves to be an interesting year for all the competitors in the Pee Wee amateur class. We can look forward to a new rising class champion in 1995. The Mini Novice Division was without a doubt one of the biggest and most competitive classes of the 1994 SRAC schedule. More than 140 registered riders did battle for motocross and supercross point supremacy. In the motocross division, rider number 353, Brandon Hurtado, grabbed the early season points lead with number 761, Brandon Hightower, number 309, Nathan Meyer, and number 320, Keith Zulian in tow. But the old infamous mark-out system began to take its toll. Hightower, Zulian, Meyer, Josh Murphy, and Dustin Rice were just a few of the riders who made the move to the mini amateur class. Rider number 411, Clint Peterson, immediately leapfrogged into the points lead and never looked back. The racing was nevertheless intense with 555 Joe Hutchcraft, number 316 Adam Nazarenas, number 444 Cody Jensen, and number 741 Rusty Riley snapping at Peterson's heels all year long. Keeping those guys at bay required Clint to ride hard and consistent, which in turn rewarded him with the Mini Novice Motocross Crown for 1994. We talked to Clint about his championship and his plans for 1995.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's nice. It's always what I wanted. I basically wanted to do it before my resume for sponsors. My plans are to mark out to the A's and just do as well as I can. I'd like to thank Bull A, PJ1, dad and brother and Vickery, and hope they can help me out next year too.
The Mini Novice Supercross battle was much like the motocross division, with early season markouts taking their toll. Early points leader number 711 Shane Magnum, number 435 Ryan Cook, number 112 Nathan Meyer, and several others jumped to the mini amateur division. This left the door wide open for several riders to inherit the lead. A battle ensued between Clint Peterson, Chad Sharp, and this year's Supercross points champion number 466 Brandon Seidel. By Grand Junction, Brandon held the points lead and never looked back. Earlier in the season, we posed Brandon with a few questions.
I got involved in motorcycles when my brother started riding, and my first motorcycle was a Quad Sport 84 wheeler, and then I rode it for a while and then wanted to go to a two-wheeler, so I got a KX60 and then just got too old for it and moved up to a KX80. Well, I want to do as good as I can in the B class if I mark out, and then I want to go to Las Vegas for World Minis and try to do pretty good there, and go to Ponca. Do pretty good there.
Congratulations to Brandon Seidel, Clint Peterson, and all the 1994 Mini Novice riders. Winning the 1994 Mini Novice Supercross division takes more than just consistency. It takes a fast and reliable machine. Part of Brandon Siddall's success is his bike's performance. FMF pipes and silencers are part of that success. Take it from riders who are out to win. FMF Gold Series pipes can be your winning edge. Fast and Wild best describes the 125cc novice division. Things may be out of control at times, but more than 140 registered 125cc novices had loads of fun competing in this class. The season's racing action was truly exciting, but the points battle turned out to be a slow, methodical climb to the top for the 1994 motocross points leader. Rider number 391, Landon Moody, grabbed the early lead with number 670, Justin Belder, number 310, Nick Bean, and number 322, Doug Brookman in tow. Setting back in fifth position was number 390, Lee Kunzelman. From that point, Lee transferred to second in points, settling there for most of the remainder of the season. Coming into the final round, Lee had pulled ahead of Moody in points, thus clinching the 125cc novice title. The story in the Supercross division was different, however. Riders like number 427 Nicholas Marks, number 609 Aaron Wright, number 901 Alex Kulagalowski, and number 575 Chris Wright all battled up through the pack to place in the top 5 for the year. But number 710 Levi Balog grabbed the early points lead and never relinquished it for the remainder of the season. But as we see here, Levi's season was not all gravy. Fortunately, Levi was all right. Congratulations to Lee Kunzelman, Levi Balog, and all the 1994 125cc novice competitors. More than 140 riders comprised the 250cc novice roster in 1994. With this many riders, the action was wild and woolly. In the motocross division, number 367, Michael DeCenzo, number 496, Mitch Dawson, number 517, Terry Belle-Isle, and number 402, Steve Hertzing, all battled for the top positions. But right from the beginning of the year, number 530, James Clausen Sr. put a stranglehold on the number 1 spot, never relenting his position. With Belle-Isle, Pagano, and Zubrick marking out, number 402, Steve Hertzing was able to capitalize and grab hold of the second spot. But catching Clausen was almost an impossibility with a 169-point lead. Clausen clinched the title with ease. In the Supercross division, Steve Hertzing got his revenge, besting number 820 Matt Carlson, number 427 Nicholas Marks, number 425 Darren Gary, number 812 Trent Shield, and a whole field of crazed riders snapping at his heels. SRAC congratulates all the riders in the 1994 250cc novice class. Your support is the backbone of SRAC. Certainly one of the biggest classes was the Open Novice Division. More than 130 registered riders competed in the motocross and supercross classes, all with one thing on their minds, to beat the other guys. But only one rider can come out on top. That rider is number 314 Russell Moore, the Open Novice Champ of 1994. More than 80 riders competed in the Open Novice Supercross class this past season. Here's the top 10 Open Novice Supercross scoreboard for 1994. More than 30 talented riders comprised the 80cc amateur class in 1994. Tight and intense racing was seen in this class throughout the entire season. The main focus were on early points leader number 111 Rich Davison and number 119 Mike Royer. They swapped the points lead several times during the year, both staying within striking distance of each other. Coming into round 18 at Erie, Rich and Mike were almost tied in points. This proved to be the pivotal point of the season. However, tragedy struck this day for Rich. This first turn mishap put him out for the day, but not out for the season. He was able to come back to pull ahead of Royer and the rest of the field, clinching the title for 1994. We talked to Rich about the season and his plans for next year.
So it was good. I rode hard. The track was rough out there, but it was very fun. The season went good. Erie was pretty harsh because I got a concussion, and that kind of put me out of that race, and I won the first moto. But overall, the season went pretty good. I'd like to thank Performance Cycle, my sponsor, and they really helped me throughout the year. And I'd like to thank my mom and dad a lot because they supported me through this whole year. Next year, I'm going to go for Mini A number 1. I'm going to try for it. Well, we're going to go to Ponca City, and we're maybe going to go to Las Vegas, so hopefully I can do pretty good out there.
While Rich was regaining the points lead, rider number 221, Keith Zulian, was able to squeak by Mike Royer to finish second in the points. Mike talked to us about his respectable third overall finish this year and his plans for 1995.
I think I did pretty good this year. I'm 8 points behind Davison, and he has to finish 3 or more places behind me today, and I'm just going to ride the best I can and see how I can finish. If he beats me or whatever, all I know is I rode the best I can today, and that's that. I'd like to give a special thanks to Apex, German Motorsports, Slavens Racing, and Motul, and O'Neill, and for all the sponsors I didn't thank, I'd like to thank you. I can't really remember them right now, but I really want to give special thanks to my mom and dad and my whole family for taking me everywhere and being there for me and helping me get through the races and stuff.
In the Supercross points battle, eventual points champion number 811 Josh Catrone grabbed the early lead, but number 103 Scott Burris and number 122 Chad Zulian hounded him every race. Zulian led Catrone at one point, but marked out to the Mini Expert class along with Scott Burris. This left the door open for Josh Catrone, who held on for the remainder of the season, clinching the Supercross title. The Mini Expert class saw 13 riders competing with SRAC in 1994. From the first to the last race in the motocross and supercross divisions, one rider dominated both classes. It seemed no one could catch number 731 Travis Riley. Riders number 11 Scott Meyer, number 14 Andrew Short, and number 29 Giovanni Tedesco hounded Travis all year, but his speed and consistency was no match for them. The real story was number 14 Andrew Short. Coming out of the Pee Wee Amateur class, Andrew seemed to settle comfortably into this very fast and competitive class, finishing second in Supercross and third in motocross points. He promises to be a rider to watch in the years to come. Many people have been speculating about Travis moving up to the 125cc class next year. Let's hear it straight from Trav about being the 1994 champ and what he really plans on doing in 1995.
It feels pretty good. I would like to done some other things at Nationals, but I feel pretty proud of what I have now. I went real well. I only seized my bike once, and that was last week. I only lost 2 races, so I pretty much dominated all the classes. So it wasn't too difficult of a year for me. My plans are just to hit all the major amateur nationals and just ride my best out there and try to win a couple of them. My 1994 sponsors are Team Green, Kawasaki, FMF, GR Designs, NutriQuest, Scott, Vickery, and Dancer. And they've given me a lot of support, and I just go out to the nationals, just try to tell them who my sponsors are and just thank them all and try to tell them that I run the best stuff. I'd like to thank my whole family, actually. My mom and dad, they take me all over and just pay for a lot of things. My brother's always out there trying to make me the best that I can be, and I just like to thank the whole family.
These riders will be our 125, 250, and Open Pros in the next few years. SRAC wishes them the best in the seasons to come. There are many factors involved with consistently winning races. Physical conditioning, riding ability, attitude, and your motorcycle's engine and suspension performance all work in harmony. If all of these elements are working together, your odds of winning are increased. If any of these are eliminated, your odds decrease. In the world of motocross engine performance, Terry Varner, performance technician and FMF, has established himself as one of the industry's top builders. Let's watch as Terry explains two-stroke theory and takes us through the basics of building a race-winning engine.
Today's engines, though highly advanced, have many weak points or flaws that simply do not offer the style of power a person wants to use. For example, a vet B rider that rides in the woods a lot or occasionally motocross typically wants a stronger bottom and mid-range with a very smooth power delivery, almost like an electric power delivery. Whereas a younger 250 Pro rider with a very aggressive riding style would prefer a stronger mid-range, harder hitting mid-range, and more of a top-end motor so that we're able to tailor your motor for your different style of needs. Today's cylinders are a chrome-plated cylinder and are very wear resistant. However, they can be very easily damaged by an inexperienced porter. Understanding all the functions and variables that a head in and itself hold is a science in itself. Head volume, piston clearance, rod stretch, squish band area, compression ratios, and how they are related to ignition timing curves and fuel quality must all be considered when building the ultimate weapon. By carefully tailoring the port sizes and shapes, we can dramatically change the profile of the horsepower curve to suit your needs. Many models have casting flaws, mismatched cases, or even worse, inherent air leaks that ultimately will result in the death of your motor. By removing and/or correcting the problems, you're ensured a reliable, time-proven setup. Most bikes come from the factory with what is considered safe jetting specs, usually very rich to prevent any seizure problems. At FMF, we spend countless hours dyno testing and field testing to ensure our jetting will give your bike peak performance with complete safety in operation. Here at FMF, we take our work very personally, and your satisfaction means everything to us.
FMF has broadened its field support program with the unveiling of its new Race Support Big Rig. Hilton Beatty, Race Support Director, explains.
We basically put the vehicle together with race support in mind, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a total race support vehicle for all the riders, whether they're FMF riders or any other rider. We are here for race support, and that's what the vehicle is going to be for. Support's a big thing in FMF's eyes, and basically that's what it's going to be for from now until, whenever and at every single race. It's selected events all over the US, motocross, off-road and enduro, national championships, amateur national motocross, which is really big on our program. We put a lot of support into that, and that's going to be going to every one of those races. Well, the vehicle is set up to offer a full suspension service, motor work, where we'll have 2 or 3 technicians on hand all the time working out the back of the vehicle. So each and every rider is welcome to bring his bike in there, whether he has jetting problems, whether he has a suspension problem. We'll strip the bike right down there underneath the awning, just take the bike apart, and we can fix it right there on the spot. As far as pipes and silencers are concerned, we're going to have a full stock of those for every single motorcycle available. Then we'll also have the general merchandise, hats, t-shirts, stickers, and all the other promotional items, which we'll do from the front of the rig. Well, we feel, especially since FMF has got so big, we've got a much bigger following now, and we owe it to each and every rider to try and get to all those events. They pay a lot of money to get to those events, and if the guy smashes a pipe in practice, it means that he's basically going to be at a disadvantage. Or if his suspension goes off, if it goes bad, needs a revalve, he's going to be at a disadvantage. So we're going to make sure that we can help those riders who have helped us get to where we are.
More than 70 registered 125cc amateurs competed with SRAC in 1994. Their developing speed and skills will catapult them into the expert class someday. Those skills are becoming more evident with all the riders in this class. Early in the motocross points battle, number 924 Brian Sabal jumped to a commanding lead with number 102 Jason Friedendahl, number 118 Scott Heidecker, and number 133 Randy Belial bringing up the top 4 positions. It seemed like Sabal and Friedendahl would run away from the field. Sabal held on, but Friedendahl slipped in points to finish 5th overall for the year. Number 124 Joe Mulring slipped past for 4th. Heidecker and Belial moved up 1 position to finish 2nd and 3rd respectively. In Supercross points, the early points lead went to number 191 Isaiah Johnson with 194 Corey Grove, number 105 Wesley Hale, and number 923 Justin Colwell in tow. But coming through the pack were number 145 Troy Politsky, number 317 Jonathan Daughter, and number 144 Mark Miller. Intense racing was seen among the top 5 riders for the remainder of the season. The final points tally saw the top 4 riders all within 20 points, give or take a couple. Through it all, Isaiah Johnson held on to clinch the title for 1994. Thumbs up to Brian Sabal, Isaiah Johnson, and all the 1994 125cc amateur class competitors. There were nearly 100 250cc amateurs competing with SRAC in 1994. Early race results put number 123 James Danaher, number 226 Louis Schellenberger, number 141 Ira Puffpaff, and number 285 Mark Padilla at the head of the motocross points division. But almost without warning, rider number 181, Nick Kasukos, charged to the head of the pack with number 195 Adam Cavelli wedging himself between Danaher and Padilla for the 3rd spot. Not being satisfied, Cavelli took off after Kasukos, nosing into a close point gap between them. But the competitiveness of this class became evident, however, as Mark Padilla caught Cavelli, and number 339 Todd Scott edged in behind Padilla. All the while, Nick Kasukos kept racking up the points to surpass the field, clinching the title for 1994. In the Supercross division, Adam Cavelli jumped into the points lead, but right behind him was numbers 929 Chuck McCaslin and number 958 Dave Ford. McCaslin continued his charge to the top, eventually surpassing the field to clinch the title. Adam Cavelli, second, Jake Hogan and Randy Rengstork passing Ford for 3rd and 4th overall. The senior classes are becoming increasingly more popular each year. These older statesmen of motocross risk life, limb, and not showing up to work on Monday morning just for the thrill of competition and bragging rights. Video Bob, who by the way will be a senior class rider in 1995, talked to a few of us about what the attraction is to racing and why we compete with SRAC.
What keeps me on a motorcycle is racing to stay young and to stay in shape and staying in shape to race. I'm as in good a shape as a 50-year-old that most of my counterparts out in the real world are at 30 and 35. So that's mainly stay in shape, have fun. I race all 40 races a year, 2 classes a weekend if I can, never quit, and have fun all the time. I never go home on a sour note. Nothing ever bothers me in the end. I like the unity of the organization and the closeness of everything, that we've kept things together in the same direction over the years, that we all know where we're going. It's not being pulled in a dozen different directions like a lot of different places go. Well, I don't think the club has changed as much as the riders in general. The riders in general have just gotten younger and they're staying longer in age, so you've got more of a span between the 4-year-olds and the 60-year-olds. Where it used to be that we were all in our mid-20s, there weren't a lot of teenagers and there weren't a lot of old guys. But it's the idea of money that's brought everything along. I think people are just a little bit better off, and they spend their money in this direction now, and people have learned that motorcycling is not such a curse. It's out here having fun, and I think the younger kids are enjoying it, and the older guys are. So as far as the organization, it hasn't changed so much, except that we've expanded, and the same with the promoters and the racing organization. You can't be one way. You have to be flexible and you have to move towards the future because it's just continuously changing all the time in that respect as far as age groups and more riders.
Well, I think what keeps me in racing is I enjoy riding, number one. I like going out with the boy and just whether it's a field or a track and just kind of tearing up the dirt and, you know, getting a little bit of air from time to time, and that little bit of lump you get in your throat sometimes. You go into the starting line, it produces the same thing. That's why I enjoy the starts. It's a lot of adrenaline flow right there at the start. And it's good to get out with guys your own age, joke around. We've gotten to know each other real close, I think, over the season, and you develop that friendship, that rapport with everybody, and it just turns out to be a good time. Surprisingly, I feel pretty good. I don't have too much problem with Monday mornings or anything. I think most of us seniors try to just keep it upright and finish the race.
Enough talking. Let's see some action. The senior novice class was a runaway for number 317 Kirk Royer, with number 312 Bill Sherman in second, number 323 Robert Meyer, and number 341 Muriel Conant finishing in fourth for the season. Number 712 Kenny Fountain brings up the top five. Second overall motocross points rider Bill Sherman topped the senior novice supercross division with Tom Robinson and Robert Funk placing second and third respectively. The senior amateur class proved to be loads of fun for the 20 or so riders who competed with SRAC in 1994. Riders number 757 Ralph Sutton, number 103 Waylon Britt, and number 818 Michael Lee topped the field in the motocross division, while number 100 Terry Freidendahl was tops in the supercross points battle. Still shredding the tracks in Colorado, more than 30 senior experts battled for supremacy in the SRAC this past season. Topping the field in the motocross division was number 1 Dan Greenwood, number 2 Dwight Catalano, number 13 Pete Edmondson, and number 51 Michael Kish. In the Supercross division, Dan Greenwood let the other guys have all the fun, with Catalano, Edmondson, and Kish finishing 1, 2, and 3 for the season. Speaking as an experienced super senior, what in the hell are we doing out there? Racing, of course. Number 31, Dave Wollaston, bested number 25, Byron Wolf, number 15, Ben Eckert, and number 21, Edgar Parrington. And back in fifth, well, I've been so busy announcing races to put up a serious race effort, but fifth ain't last, so I'll take it. In the Supercross division, there were only two die-hard competitors, number 707, Tom Ham, and the 1994 champ, number 2, John Malsom. Maybe next year some of us might make sure our insurance is paid up, down a bottle full of vitamins, pop some aspirin, and give it a go in this class. Some of you younger riders out there watching right now are probably laughing as you're watching us old farts out there racing. But old Video Bob got some of you hot shots at some very embarrassing moments. If there's one thing in motocross you can count on, it's the fact that we're all bound to throw it down once in a while. More than 85 riders signed up in the vet amateur class of 1994. These guys were just as serious as the pros, displaying highly competitive racing throughout the season. Here's the top 10 motocross and supercross points leaders of 1994. The racers in the Vet Pro class might be getting older, but they sure don't show any signs of slowing down. Some of the most intense action was in this class. Without a doubt, number 1, Mark Felicia, was the most intense and motivated rider in this class. Shaking off injuries that would make most of us quit, Mark railed to victory in the Supercross division, besting number 84 Brian Curtis, number 3 David Clayball, and number 58 Gary Sailors. However, in the motocross division, Brian Curtis edged out Mark at the final round in Cheyenne. We talked to Mark and Brian after their final motos.
I won the Supercross championship, so I got that one and I did my best. I won both motos in the vet class and that's all I could do. I broke my neck in 1988 and it took about 4 years to heal, and then I came back and I have to wear a special neck harness because my neck is, the bones and the vertebrae in my neck are fused and the muscles are gone. They just totally got ripped away. So I have a harness from my back up to my head to keep my head up otherwise it falls down on the handlebars. When you're single and young and carefree, you don't care about anything. You just want to go ride, go ride, go ride. But you grow up and you get responsible, and I got a beautiful wife and family here, and I got to take care of them. I got to think of them, so I'm packing it in. I'm gonna hang with my son and help him out, and hope he can get going and have a good time. He's riding in the 60 class next year, and I'm gonna be a pit dad, stand on the sideline and help out.
I don't know, I rode good, but a lot of the races during early in the season, so I got me ahead enough where it got to the end. I guess I should have rode probably that last race at Pueblo, but it was hurting too much then. That was only like a week afterwards. It's like only 3 weeks since I broke it, so it still hurts. I'd like to thank Boulder Yamaha, first of all, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even rode this year, I don't think. I was having a hard time. Gary and McGracey, they gave me pipes and did my suspension, helped me out a lot. And that's, for this year, that's all I had, so I hope to have more next year. Well, next year I plan to ride the vets, 250 and 125 pros also. Try to do better. That 125 usually gets me going better, so I had one in 92 and I did a lot better then, so hopefully I can get it better next year in the other classes also. Besides getting that number 1 in the vet again, somehow. I think it's tough.
There were over 90 riders who signed up in the Open Amateur Division in 1994. They battled for supremacy in both the motocross and the supercross points divisions. Here are the top 10 riders who competed with SRAC in 1994. 2 wheels, 4 wheels. Hey, the more the merrier. 28 amateurs raced with SRAC in 1994. It's amazing just how fast these guys can get around a motocross track on 4 wheels. Here's some action and the top 10 quad amateurs of 1994. Just to ride a quad around a racetrack is one thing, but to shred like a quad pro, well, that's a whole different game. Let's watch some action as we listen to the 1994 Quad Pro champ, Jimmy Anderson.
I've never had a championship under my belt, and this is the first one, so it's a happy day for me. Yeah, Jason Wiswell, he's been real fast. He's been a force to be reckoned with. Well, I used to race bikes, so I've kind of taken that ability and to put racing my four-wheeler, and I try to ride my four-wheeler like a motorcycle, and I think that's how come I've done so well on it.
The women's division saw 15 competitors race with SRAC in 1994. We encourage the growth of this class and hope to see more women getting involved with riding and racing motorcycles. Here are the top women's class novice and amateur points leaders of 1994. Proper suspension tuning is a severely overlooked aspect in gaining a winning edge in motocross. Just having a fast motorcycle is not enough. Your riding ability is also an integral part of the equation. But if your suspension is working against you, your winning edge decreases. Some companies claim to have the best suspension, but as we all know, advertising hype and product performance are not always directly correlated. Most of these companies do not intimately work with the customer. Rather, they have basic, systematic, or cookie-cutter styles of setting up your suspension. Your particular riding style and ability are just the basic factors in setting up the perfect suspension. FMF provides the personal attention required to build you suspension that works. Rob Henriksen, suspension technician at FMF, takes us through the process of building race-winning suspension.
The shock and forks are always delivered to us assembled and nearly always have the springs fitted. We first remove the spring, then remove the shaft from the main body of the shock. Most of the damping is occurring at the end of the shaft, and we need to disassemble the shaft to make any changes. When the shaft is totally disassembled, we check the component thoroughly for wear and replace any worn parts. We first check the shaft for nicks and signs of wear, and then the bottom out bumper. Then we check the seal head. Seals and bushings are replaced as necessary. Also, the piston itself needs to have the ring and O-ring inspected for wear. A worn piston ring and O-ring allows the fluid to bypass the piston so that fluid doesn't act upon the valving shims themselves. The body itself needs to be checked for wear and grooves. Once the parts have been inspected and replaced as necessary, we take the shaft into the valving room and set it in the vise. Nowhere is cleanliness more important than inside your suspension components. For this reason, the valving is laid out on paper, not on rags. Fluid passes through the piston and pushes on the shims in each direction of the component, rebound and compression. We change the diameters and thicknesses of shims to tailor the damping to the rider's requirements. Each shim's tolerances are thoroughly inspected. Basically, the front suspension is the same as the shock. It needs to be disassembled and all the parts inspected for wear. Compared to forks of yesteryear, today's cartridge fork is far more sophisticated than the simple and primitive damping rod system of just holes. All the damping fluid is contained within this cartridge, and the rod passing into the cartridge creates damping. Here we have the component when it's assembled, and here we have the component when it's disassembled. At the bottom we have compression, and at the top we have the rebound. Suspension as you get it from the factory is set up for every man and his dog, so to speak. Here at FMF we tailor it to the rider's needs. You may race supercross, desert, motocross, or just play ride. Each of these are different settings. On top of that you have the different riders' weights, riding styles, different heights. All these things contribute to how a rider has a suspension set. Having someone set your suspension means the difference between you having fun on the motorcycle or winning a race or losing a race. Communicating to anyone setting up your suspension is important. Knowing what your bike is doing inside the component isn't really the rider's job. However, communicating what the bike actually does on the track is important. Knowing what the bike is doing is everything. If you can tell me that the bike is harsh on square edges, it kicks you in the butt, the forks seem too stiff or too soft, often you don't know what the bike has wrong with it, but what the bike does to you. That's all I need to know. And from that, and your riding weight, your riding style, your height, and all the personal things that you may have going on with your riding style, we can tailor it to your needs.
Ty Davis, Team Green Off-Road Racer, Motocross Pro. When I race to win. My winning edge, FMF.
Well, Video Bob and I are just too tuckered out to finish this video, so we're going to skip the pro classes. Not! We saved the best for last. Colorado's best pro riders lined up to compete in the 125, 250, and open classes in 1994. These are the guys we all love to watch, and better yet, learn how to ride from. In the 125cc Pro Motocross Division, the early points lead was a battle between number 64 Chad Wollaston, number 2 Andy Atkins, number 5 Mark Felicia, and number 68 Micah Moyes. Within a few races, Andy Atkins was able to wrestle his way around Wollaston to take over the lead. But several spoilers were number 15 Kip Sandell, number 920 Jared Carlson, and number 997 Sean Morgan. Andy, Chad, Mark, and Jared all held on to their positions, but every time Sean Morgan had a chance, he advanced up the points ladder, finally finishing in 5th overall for the season. Not wasting any time, Andy Atkins jumped into the lead in the 125cc Pro Supercross Division. Jared Carlson, Josh Kellogg, and Chad Wollaston were right on Andy's tailpipe. Rounding out the top 5, Sean Morgan was usually the man to beat when he was healthy and able to race. Early in the season, Sean commanded a 2nd place slot, tied with Andy at 1 point. But consistency was Andy's best asset, helping him clinch the 125cc Supercross title. In the 250cc Pro Motocross Division, Chad Wollaston grabbed the lead with Andy Atkins, Keith Campbell, Micah Moyes, and Kip Sandell rounding out the top 5. As in the 125cc class, Andy jumped into the early points lead. Jared Carlson moved into 4th place and Brian Curtis went to 5th, dropping Campbell and Moyes back, while Sean Morgan ran back in 6th position. As the season progressed, Andy held on to the top spot, putting a gap between himself and the rest of the field. Wayne Balliet edged out Morgan for 6th, with Moyes and Campbell behind Morgan. Several motor wins edged Sean up to finish 4th for the season. Andy clinched the title with a 20-point lead over 2nd place Chad Wollaston. In the Open Pro class, the same players did battle with slightly different results. Andy Atkins bested Sean Morgan, Wayne Balliet, Keith Campbell, and John Merwin respectively. Presenting the top 10 finishers in the 250 and Open Pro Motocross Division. The 250 and Open Pro Supercross division provided some high-flying racing action in 1994. Number 997, Sean Morgan, drew first blood in the 250 and Open classes to lead Supercross points. Kip Sandell, Andy Atkins, Keith Campbell, Jared Carlson, and Brian Curtis were all players early on. But almost like clockwork, Andy Atkins grabbed the lead in the 250 class while Josh Kellogg charged to the top in the Open division. Keith Campbell, Jared Carlson, Chad Wollaston, Josh Kellogg, and Kip Sandell dropped in behind Atkins to finish out the 250 Supercross top 6 riders. In the Open class, Josh Kellogg nipped Andy by only 2 points to clinch the title. Andy in a solid second, followed by Jared Carlson, Keith Campbell, and Sean Morgan. We talked to Andy Atkins about the 1994 season and his near clean sweep of the pro classes.
It feels pretty good. The beginning of this year I had a goal of 6 number ones, and right now I'm got all 5, and Josh Kellogg took the Open in the Supercross. It was a good race, and I'm real happy. I've got some goals that I wanted this year, and I've always been on being consistent, and always felt that being consistent you'll win. Every one of them, any one of them can win at any time. Sean Morgan's, probably one of the guys that wins the most, but he's been riding a lot of nationals and trying to get his name known, which he has, and I'm, as proud of him as I could be, for his competing with him. But around here, they're all good. I just love to race with them all. I plan on racing every Supercross race series and try to get out to, we've been talking to hitting the Arena Cross series. Haven't really planned it out yet, but I'm just going to keep racing, and I don't think I'll race as hard as I did this year every class, because it was tough, a lot of money. I may just race 2 classes and race all Supercross and maybe pick and choose the outdoor ones I want to race. Kind of limit myself, and I want to definitely plan to at least go 4 or 5 nationals this next year. I would like to thank my 1994 sponsors, starting off with the Vickery team. Every one of the guys down there has helped me through the thick and thin. I go in there, I ask them to help me, and they'll stop whatever they're doing to give me a hand, and I don't know a better shop and some more nicer people. Bowleg, give me my goggles and tear-offs, keep me with all that. Axo with my gear, Sinisalo. Sunoco Fuels, give me 2 drums of fuel this year. JR Designs, he gave me a couple helmets. He gave me 2 helmets this year. Gave me one at the last year's awards banquet for the Rider of the Year. That's the helmet I'm wearing now, and hopefully I can pick up a few more this next year. I can honestly say the 3 people that get me here, and that, when we get home after a hard night's race, and that get out of the van instead of going inside and going to bed, they help me unload. And that's these 3 people behind me here: Dennis Montoya, my mom Marty, and her boyfriend Bill. I wouldn't be able to do it without these guys. If I didn't have them, I'd be alone, and I don't really honestly think I could do it alone. And I hope next year that they'll be behind me as tough as they were this year.
Sean Morgan has some final comments as well.
Great, I wish I could have stuck around and won a few more championships, but I did okay out on some nationals this year. And I went out with 6 moto wins, and I'm happy with that. So, and I just wanted, Andy had a great year, and I congratulated him a whole bunch. He won 5 classes, and I just want to say congratulations to Andy. Well, definitely I'd have to say today was one of the better days that I've had. I won all 6 motos, and last time up here at Cheyenne, I got stuck in the gate, the first 125 moto, and came from last and passed Andy, I think, on the last lap, and won. And that just sticks in my head for some reason.
It was a great year. We're all excited with all the good racing we had all year long, and I'd like to congratulate all the number ones, and hope to see everybody out again next year. Well, we're just trying to improve all the conditions at all the tracks. We feel that the riders deserve the best. We got one of the best organizations in the country, and we just want every track to be as best it can be, and we're planning on good things next year.
Well, another year comes to a close. SRAC has honored its top riders, All of us at SRAC are looking forward to another season of fun, excitement, good friends, and good racing. This is John Beavers for Bob Leppold Productions. We'd like to thank the following companies and individuals for their assistance with the production of this video.